Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, aka DFS Dudes, and we're here to present you our NFL Week 10 picks. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below so you can watch all of our NFL, NBA, and MLB videos. If you haven't went and checked out our new website at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily Fanduel and Draftkings cash lineups. Hey, we got everything. Truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure to check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. So how you doing out there, Jeremy?
I'm sick, man. I'm fighting this cold, not feeling it. I'm trying to go back to the couch, trying to get my blanket.
Right now, everybody's sick, bro. I feel you. Well, let's get these, let's get these plays out, for all of our viewers, and then we'll get up out of here. Won't waste too much of their time, too much of your time. We'll let you get back to relaxing. As always, we're going to get started with the quarterback picks. Before we do, if you guys don't mind, please take that quick second, click the like button on this video for me. Helps me out. I really, really appreciate that. Make sure that you're subscribed to our channel. And, let's go. So I'm going to get it started first. I'll get us started at quarterback. And, one of the reasons I do want to get it started is because I'm going to go right back to the well. Talked about him last week. Played him last week in our cash lineups, and he did very well. I'm going to go right back to the well to Ryan Fitzpatrick. 7,600. The price tag, jumped a little bit. Don't get me wrong. But it hasn't really jumped that much in reality. And the crazy thing is Fitzpatrick, this guy slings the ball all over the field. We know that, and we had a little bit of a heart attack last week for about 2 or 3 plays. They brought in the third string quarterback, and we're like, everybody in our private chat was like, oh, damn, they already benched Fitzpatrick, etc. I don't know exactly what happened, but 3 plays later, Fitzpatrick came back, ended up having a monster game for us. 26 fantasy points. He got more fantasy points than Cam Newton, who he was going against. And Cam Newton was like almost 70% owned. So it was a great play for us. I'm going to go right back to the well with Fitzpatrick. One thing about it is Tampa Bay is not a very good team. So they're constantly having to play from behind. They're constantly having to throw the ball. Also, they don't have a very good run game. So, Fitzpatrick's going to throw the ball a ton of times in this matchup. We know that for sure. My guess would be he throws the ball at least 40 times. So this is a good spot for him. I like him. I just think he's a guy. He showed us all year he has massive fantasy upside. So for my pick, going right back to the well, I'm going with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Tampa Bay, like I said, they're a team that just has to throw the ball to have any chance to win a game. So that's really where I'm at. So who you got for us for your first quarterback pick?
I'm gonna go Drew Brees, man. $8,400, 29.75 is their implied total. They do have the highest over under with Cincinnati at 54. One thing you got to take a look at first is that Drew Brees is averaging 292 pass yards per game. He's got 18 total touchdown passes, which I believe is 4th. He's had 6 multiple touchdown pass games out of the 8 he's played in, and Cincinnati is 32nd in the pass defense, giving up 319.4 pass yards per game. So on paper, I know the matchup looks like load up Kamara because they're weak against the run, but the actual metrics, when you dive into them, you see how many pass yards are given up per game. You see how many fantasy points they're giving up per game to opposing quarterbacks. And then you take a look at the fact that this is a high over-under, and they have not been good against the pass as far as a real defense goes. You look at real defensive metrics and see that they're 32nd in the NFL against the pass. So high over-under, high implied total, terrible against the pass. Drew Brees has multiple touchdown passing games, multi touchdown pass games. So that's a tongue twister, especially when you're sick, I guess. But Drew Brees, 8,400.
Yeah, definitely. And then, the only thing I want to throw in now, he has another weapon. They got Dez Bryant. I don't expect Dez to have a crazy impact this week, but I think Dez Bryant is really going to help them on the other side, and I think he's going to end up helping Michael Thomas as well. He's going to take some pressure off of him because people are going to have to respect Dez. Great pick. So I'm gonna go to my man, bro. Two years ago, I played this guy for 10 straight weeks in fantasy, and it worked out for me. I won every week for 10 straight weeks.
Let me guess. Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, bro. Okay, real quick, I'm just gonna sum it up. Aaron Rodgers, top 3 quarterback in the league. Okay, the ball's in his hand a ton. Green Bay has the 4th highest implied total on this slate, and I don't care what people say. Okay, I don't care what people say at all. The run game for the Green Bay Packers isn't very good. I understand they have a couple guys that can run a little bit, but they're not running the ball a ton. For the thing about Aaron Rodgers is, instead of doing, run the ball, pass, they use 5-yard passes as their run game. That's really what Packers do. That's what they've been doing the past couple of years. So the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hand a ton. I expect him to win this game against Miami. He's given us a solid floor. He also runs the ball a little bit as well. And this is just a good matchup. I mean, straight up, it is what it is. Miami has allowed the 5th most yards per passing attempt through the air this season. So I think this is a great spot for Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be my second quarterback pick of the week.
Phillip Rivers, $8,200, gets the dream matchup of the week going against the Raiders. Here's the thing. It's very easy to say, oh, the Raiders are terrible. You're not wrong. They are. But why are they terrible? Take a look at this. They've got 7 sacks on the season, bro. 7 sacks. They've sacked the quarterback 7 times. We all know Khalil Mack leaving hurt them, right? But they have 7 sacks. They're the worst in the NFL getting after the quarterback. They're 27th in total defense. They only have 4 picks. They've only got 4 picks. Worst in the NFL, 4 picks. So they're not forcing they're not forcing turnovers. They're not putting any pressure on the quarterback. And you got Keenan Allen, you got Melvin Gordon, you got I can't think of the kid's name now. The deep threat, is it Troy Williams, whatever his name is. He's got weapons, and then this is the worst defense in football. Period. Point blank in the story. It's a division rival game. They have a high implied total of 30. It's the second highest implied total or the third highest implied total on the slate. And he's 4th in passing touchdowns. By the way, 4th in passing touchdowns. He's thrown 19. So the last thing I'll mention, the last time they played was October the 7th. He's 22 for 37, 339 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He'll do that easily again.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't have nothing else to add to that. Raiders defense is horrible. It is what it is. So we're gonna move on to the running back position. I'm gonna get started with the guy. He did very well the first couple weeks of the season. Took a back seat for a couple weeks, and he's back. I'm gonna go right back to Alvin Kamara. So we know Ingram was out for the first 4 games, and Kamara was just the absolute fantasy darling. We loved him. We went to him over and over. Now this week, you mentioned it with Drew Brees. The Saints have the highest. This game in general has the highest implied total, 54 points projected to be scored. The Saints are favored by 4.5, so they're projected to have, score the most points. And this is the thing, okay? Yes, Alvin Kamara and Ingram, for the most part, they're in a timeshare. Last week, for example, Kamara got 41 snaps and Ingram got 34 snaps. So they were pretty even. But this is the thing. Even though the snaps are almost even, they're really not, because, what I noticed is Ingram is coming in a lot now, and they're just using him on the short yardage, a couple yards to get a quick first down. They're using Ingram more as the passing down guy, the blocker. They're not using Ingram, as much as Kamara actually, as far as using them. I'm sorry if I'm being a little confusing. What I mean by that, for example, when Kamara is in, they're getting Kamara the ball. That's what it is. Compared to Ingram, when he's in, he's blocking half of the time, and he's getting short yard runs, etc. Kamara, 19 carries last week, 82 yards, 2 touchdowns. 5 targets, caught 4 of them for 34 yards, a touchdown. 32 fantasy points. This is, it's 3 weeks in a row now, 3 weeks straight that Kamara has got double-digit rushing attempts. He's getting a ton of targets. I just like Kamara. I think he's a really good play. And another problem that we were having was, Ingram is going to take touchdowns away from Kamara. Okay, maybe he'll take 1 or 2. But if you look at Kamara in the past 2 weeks, he has 5 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks. So, I mean, Ingram's hurting him a little bit, and so the price tag is a little bit lower than it was earlier in the season. But I still like Kamara. Saints are projected to have the highest implied points on this slate. Kamara is going to be my first pick.
I'll disagree with you on 2 things. All right. The first one I'm going to disagree with you on is Mark Ingram's not on the field enough to be blocking half the time he's in. When he's in, he's running the football. He's only at like 22% snap rate. So Kamara is on the field still, even since he's been back. Kamara's on the field about 70% of the time. So you're 100% right. They're trying to get the ball.
Last week it was 41-34. So I mean that's, it's not too far off.
Right, it's not too far off. But the one thing I'll agree with you about is when Kamara's in the game, they're trying to get him the ball in all possible ways.
Right. All right. So who you got for us?
I'm going to go way off the board here, bro. And I like this play a lot. David Johnson at 6,900. And I know it's David Johnson. It's the Arizona Cardinals. But you have to look at prices and opportunity in daily fantasy. You just have to. The Chiefs are terrible defense as well. The problem with the Chiefs defense is their offense is so damn good that they score so many points that the defense never gets put on blast like they should. But the defense they're atrocious. They're 28th against the pass. They're 25th against the rush. They're 31st overall in total defense. I just told you the Raiders were 27th overall in total defense. The Chiefs are a worse overall defense than the Raiders are. It doesn't show because they have an offense that scores a ton of points, and their record is a lot better than the Raiders, obviously. But it's $6,900 for David Johnson. Here's the thing with him: he's getting 20 touches a game, right? He's getting between 16 and 22 carries, and he's getting anywhere between 3 and 5 targets. They've started putting him out at receiver and the slot to try and get him a couple of opportunities in the screen game, quick slant game, etc. I like this dude at 6,900. I think he's an unbelievable off. I think he'll be so far off the radar and solo owned this week that this guy could win somebody a tournament if he scores a touchdown. He's very close to having monster games. 11.9, 8.5, 12, 16.7. In those games, no touchdowns. No touchdowns. So you give this guy a touchdown against, if he does exactly what he's been doing, which is between 14 and 22 carries and anywhere between 2 and 5 receptions, and he scores a touchdown, this guy gets you 18, 19 points and is almost a 3x value play. So I love this play. Terrible defense in Kansas City. They're not going to win the game, but I do think that David Johnson will get his in this game.
He caught my eye a little bit too. Very underpriced. So I'm going to move on to my next running back pick. I really like the narrative in this. You got Dion Lewis for the Tennessee Titans. He's only 5,800. He's going to go against his old former team, the Patriots. Let's face it, the Patriots are a very good team, but they're not the best defensive team. Thing I like about Lewis, he's a great price for the workload that he's getting. Last week, he tripled the amount of carries that Henry got. Honestly, I feel like they're kind of past the Henry thing now. And the guy's in there a lot. Last week, 19 carries, 62 yards, nothing special, but he also got 4 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. So the guy, he's getting a ton of carries. He's the guy that they're throwing the ball to out the backfield. And for the most part, when they throw him the ball, he catches it. I'm looking at it last week, 4 targets, 4 catches. The week before, 6 targets, 6 catches. 2 targets, 2 catches. 9 targets, 9 catches. Like, the guy is making the most of his opportunities, catching the ball, trying to take care of business. I just really like the narrative of him going against his old team. And I extremely like the price tag of only 5,800. For the usage that he's really getting. And Mariota is really starting to look a little bit more healthy. Obviously, we watched this game last week since he was going against our Cowboys, and we have a pretty good defense. We know that. Our Cowboys do have a pretty good defense, and Mariota had a good week, and I definitely think that there's going to be some points to be scored on both sides of this game. So I'm going to go with Dion Lewis as my next pick.
Hey, I got to say something first of all, though, bro. This bullshit they're doing with one guy's calling first and second down, and then another guy's calling third down, and then they make it public. The reason they're doing that is because he's more aggressive and dials up better blitz packages. Why don't you just tell the whole league that, hey, on first and second down, we're not going to blitz you. And on third down, somebody else is going to call the defense and we're going to blitz the shit out of you. What do they think?
Yeah.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Dumbest thing in the world.
As a Cowboys fan, bro, we got to clean house. I don't mean clean house player-wise. We need a clean house as far as coaching staff. We need a brand new coaching staff, brand new everything. We clean house with Des Bryant. We clean house with Tony Romo. We got a bunch of young dudes. We need a clean house with the coaching staff and move on to somebody different. Would you agree with that as a Cowboy fan?
Dude, I wish I could have started the website firedjasoncarrot.com because I felt like that since they hired him. I really have. And then, like, the first year that he was a head coach, I literally kept putting on Facebook, firedjasongarrett.com. And then some dude, I went and checked it, like, oh, I should buy the website. And some dude already had, like, a full website up, firedjasongarrett.com. I can't stand Garrett, man. Get out. He was a great backup quarterback. Thank you for the Super Bowl ring, but time for you to go.
Yeah. So, hey, get us going with that last running back pick you got.
So I'm gonna keep it low priced here, and I'm gonna go with Nick Chubb at $6,700. Another guy in a really good opportunity. 22 attempts, 85 yards, and a touchdown last week against that very Kansas City defense we mentioned. This week, he's got a matchup against Atlanta. Atlanta's not been a solid defense this year. They just have not. This dude Nick Chubb, I mean, hey. They made a trade and got rid of Carlos Hyde for a reason. This dude, Nick Chubb, is who they see as the future of their franchise. Cleveland's not a bad football team. They're really not. They have a lot of talent. They can move the football. The game is in Cleveland. Always give a little bit of a boost to Cleveland players when they're in Cleveland. A Jarvis Landry, even a Baker Mayfield. I like Nick Chubb this week, $6,700 for no other reason than this is a gut play for me.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that play. It's a very good call. And, I mean, to start us with our wide receiver position, I'm going to go right to his teammate, Jarvis Landry. You mentioned him. Thing about Jarvis Landry is he's just too cheap. $6,400 for a guy who is by far the second leading receiver as far as targets this season. I understand he hasn't caught that, as many as some of the other guys that are right there with him. But the fact that he's second in the league in targets, only to Adam Thielen, and he's $6,400, while all these other guys are minimum $8,000. And then you get to match up against Atlanta's defense, who is absolutely horrendous. I love Jarvis Landry in this spot, $6,400. I'm going right back to the well. Very, very good cash game play this week at wide receiver.
Check the tape, bro. You can go back and watch videos of this channel from week 1 all the way through, and you will see me playing this guy and touting this guy and giving you all the reasons why. Red zone target, awesome slot receiver, good route runner, underrated. This dude's price went up. He gets hurt. He comes back. He's $6,500 after getting 5 catches, 89 yards, and a touchdown last week. I'm talking about Cooper Kupp. The first time he played against Seattle, 6 receptions on 9 targets for 90 yards and a touchdown, 18 fantasy points. All you have to know is this dude's a baller. He's underrated. He's underpriced. Plug Cooper Kupp in your lineups this week. One of the best overall plays at wide receiver this week.
Hey, bro. So why'd you take my pick, bro? That was my next pick.
Bro, we didn't even talk before we got on the video, homie. I have no idea who you're taking.
Man, bro, took my pick. All right, so give me 1 second then. Let me see, because if you're going Cooper Kupp, that was who I was going to go with. Okay, so I know who I'm going to go. Well, yeah, I know who I'm going to go with. I do know. Okay, so since you took my guy, my next guy I'm going to go with. So we know that Golden Tate got traded out of Detroit. So there's 2 clear-cut options. And one guy was super chalky last week. The other guy went super low owned. And the guy that went super low owned was the guy who I think is the biggest beneficiary. Obviously, last week, the chalk play was Kenny Galladay. Everybody went to him, with no Tate. And Galladay kind of disappointed. 3 catches for 46 yards, 6.9 fantasy points. Okay, cool. I definitely think you can go back to that well this week. But the guy that I'm going to look at is going to be Marvin Jones on the other side of things. I mean, the guy the past 2 weeks, and you got to remember Tate was there 2 weeks ago. The past 2 weeks, he's got 8 and 10 targets. We know this is a guy that Matthew Stafford looks for when he wants a big play. I mean, it is what it is. That's what Marvin Jones always has been for the Lions, has been the big play guy. But now without Golden Tate, I think that they're going to rely on him more to move the chains, to get some of those kind of patches. So I just think this is a complete bump for Marvin Jones now that Golden Tate is gone, because he doesn't have to just depend on getting the big plays. Now he's going to get some of the shorter routes. And at a 6,200 price tag for a guy who, in my opinion, is pretty much their number one receiver right now, with a good quarterback like Matthew Stafford throwing to him. Oh, I love Marvin Jones, and he's going to be my second pick at a 6,200 price tag. One thing I do quickly want to note, I just want to quickly note this. Last week, everybody paid down at wide receiver, and they paid up at running back, and that was the way to go last week. I think this week, with the pricing on some of these wide receivers, I think you could do the exact same thing this week. There's some really good mid-tier wide receivers. We just gave you a couple really good ones that are all $6,500 or less, and all these guys that we just mentioned can be premier cash game plays, and you could pay up at running back or pay up at a tight end. So I definitely think this is the week that you could go mid-tier at wide receiver and pay up at running back again. I just wanted to mention that real quick.
So you want another one? Sub $8,000 wide receiver? I'll give you another one. Leon Hall is the matchup. One of the worst cornerback ratings in all of football at 36.51. Keenan Allen, $7,900, another sub $8,000 wide receiver. Take a look back at the first matchup. 9 targets, 8 receptions, 90 yards, 13.5 fantasy points, no touchdown in that game. That's the one thing about Keenan Allen this year. He has 1 receiving touchdown. We always talk about averages, and the law of averages are going to play out. Sooner or later, Keenan Allen's going to have a 2-touchdown game. Right. And, I mean, if it happens this week and he gets you the 8 catches for 90 yards and then 2 touchdowns, this is a 25, 26-point game this dude has for you at $7,900. You're talking about the opportunity for another guy to go 3X. We gave you David Johnson at that $6,900. He could possibly go 3X. We gave you a couple of other plays where these reduced price. There's a ton of guys that are at really good mid-tier prices. This is just another guy at $7,900.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. Definitely, there's some underpriced wide receivers to give you that opportunity to pay up for sure this week. So we'll move on to the tight end position. And for me, I mean, honestly, I gave you guys this guy last week, and I'm gonna go right back to the well right now. You got Travis Kelce. So right now for me, Travis Kelce is pretty much the Gronkowski of this year. Gronkowski was always 7,800, 8,000. Way more expensive than the other wide receivers, but Gronkowski was always giving you the same production as, number one wide receivers, and that's why he's always been priced up. So you look at a guy like Travis Kelce, okay? This guy, Travis Kelce, he's only had I'm throwing out the first game of the season. We're not counting that. It's the first game of the season. Outside of the first game of the season, there's only been one game where he's got less than double-digit fantasy points. He got 8.6 against New England. And, we always talk about New England. They scheme to take out some of your best players. I watched that New England game, and what they did is they tried to take out Kelce, and they got burned by what is the short dude's name?
Tyreek Hill.
For Kansas City, the wide receiver?
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill, yeah. So, the Patriots, they tried to take out Kelce, and they got burned by Tyreek Hill that game. So, outside of that game, Kelce has been absolute killing it. We gave him to you last week against Cleveland, and sure enough, 7 catches, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns, 25 fantasy points. There's not many tight ends out there that can give you 25 fantasy point upside. And Kelce, honestly, on this slate, he's the best tight end there is. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. Going against a Cardinals team, I mean, I expect Kansas City to put up some mad points on the Cardinals. And, I just like Kelce. He's going to give you that solid floor. And if you could pay, even if you – another thing you could do, we talked about last week, everybody paid up at 3 running back spots because there was a lot of value at wide receiver. Well, another thing you could do this week is you can, take the wide receiver value, pay up at 2 running back spots, go, and then you can go with a Travis Kelce. You can throw in a Chubb or throw in a Deion Lewis in your flex spot. You'll have extra money. Get yourself Kelce in there. So I think there's a bunch of ways that you can get Travis Kelce in your lineup this week, and he's going to be my top tight end to play.
Did you forget the E on this dude's last name or what? You keep calling him Kelce.
Kelsey. Yeah. How it is with names, bro. Some people pronounce stuff. Some people have the silence,
Oh no, I didn't know if you were saying just because they call him Kels all the time. I didn't know if you were just calling him
Oh,
Travis
okay.
Kels
Yeah.
or you forgot the E. Hey, here's the thing. I think he'll be low owned this week too, bro. I do. I think that the chalk play all week long. I've thought this since last Sunday when the games ended was going to be OJ Howard. I think OJ Howard is going to be the chalk play this week, and I think he'll take ownership away. Another little tip for our viewers I'll give out there: stop playing running backs in your flex position. There's not enough running backs to give you 20 carries in a game and give you 25 fantasy point upside to play 3 running backs. Stop doing it. I've been playing 2 tight ends or 4 wide receivers, and it works out. There's more upside in your lineup. There's not enough out there on a given week to give you 3 running backs, especially when you got a guy like Gurley at his price. So let's move on. Move on to my tight end pick. I don't like any tight ends this week. I don't even know if I like Kelsey that much because of the fact that this game is going to blow way out. This is one of those games where, as an offensive coordinator, you try to get all of your weapons a touchdown. You just start dialing up plays for each one of them and try and get them all in the end zone. So he could get a touchdown. He can make value, get you 16, 17 points. I just don't think that the upside is there this week because I think they're going to score a ton of points, blow them out, and then I just don't see the 2 touchdown, three touchdown upside for him. I'm going to go with Burton, and I'm going to pair Burton this week with Trubisky. I like Trubisky a lot, so I'm going to go with Burton. This guy's been a really solid tight end in this offense all year long. He's had good games. He has actually had a couple of – he's never going to do anything that's going to actually kill you. I mean, his worst game was the first week when he was chalk and he got you 2 points. I mean, he's got 5 receiving touchdowns on the season. He averages about 50 yards per game receiving. He's going to get you between 2 and 9 catches. And going against the Detroit team, here's the thing with Detroit. They're giving defense, their defensive line is getting sacks. So their defensive line is legit against the pass. However, they saw these target running backs against them, like streamline running backs against the Lions, right? So that's kind of Jekyll and Hyde. And then you take a look at what they're giving up to quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are completing the ball at 70%. So their secondary is doing nothing to stop wide receivers. Okay, well, who are the weapons that Trubisky has outside of Taylor Gabriel? It's Trey Burton. I'm going to roll Trey Burton at 6,100. I think he's got big upside this week just for the simple fact that he's one of the only tight ends I like outside of Travis Kelce. OJ Howard will be the chalk because of what he did last week with Fitzmagic. And then I can't justify paying for a lot of these other guys like a Ben Watson at 5,900 or a Jack Doyle at 5,600, even a Jimmy Graham at 63. I just can't justify it.
Yeah,
I will if you're ever going to get Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, so for my second tight end pick, I'm gonna go right back to the well. I played this guy last week, and he didn't have the best game for me. I'm talking about Jordan Reed. We know Jordan Reed in the past. He's shown us he has really, really good ability, as a tight end to catch the ball in open space, have big fantasy points, but he just hasn't done it. Now, let's go to his quarterback, Alex Smith. I don't care what anybody says. Alex Smith made Travis Kelce what Travis Kelce is today. We know Alex Smith isn't a guy who really throws the deep.
This is blasphemy. You're gonna make me be Stephen A. Smith right now. It's blasphemy coming out of your mouth right now. He made blasphemy. Hey, bro, let me tell you something real quick before you get in this pick. I'm not trying to be an asshole. Jordan Reed hasn't had the game. Alex Smith doesn't force the ball down the field. If you look at Jordan Reed's big plays, they're down the seams or it's when they put him out in a mismatch situation. They'll go trips left and they'll put Reed out, singled out on the right-hand side. They're not Smith don't force the ball down the field. The dude doesn't throw the ball down the field. He don't take risks. The guy just likes to nickel and dime it down the field. So everybody's because they want to stop Adrian Peterson, and they're leaving these little check down throws for Alex Smith, the ones he wants to make in the first place. That's why the dude ain't got no big games.
Okay, so let me get to it. Okay, so he hasn't had no big games, right? 5,200 buy low opportunity. We would say on Jordan Reed though, correct? Right?
100 is cheap for Jordan Reed. Yes.
Okay. So now let me get to the goods part now, okay? So Tampa Bay, worst passing defense in the league. And let me tell you something else. Pretty much every single tight end that has went against Tampa Bay this season has had their best game of the season. You get what I'm saying? So if there's time for Jordan Reed to have a big game, it's this game. So let me give you some quick stats. I'm just looking at the past 4 tight ends that have went against Tampa Bay. Last week, Greg Olsen, 6 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Okay? Then we got the week before they went against the Browns. You got David Njoku, 4 catches, 52 yards, and a touchdown. Week before, Tampa Bay went against Atlanta. Austin Hooper, 9 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. Okay? The week before that, they went against Chicago. Trey Burton, he only caught 2 passes in that game, but guess what? It was two out of those 2. It was 2 catches for 86 yards and a touchdown. Okay, so the past 4 weeks, they've allowed at least 1 touchdown to the tight end position. The past 4 weeks. I love Jordan Reed in this spot, bro. He's gonna have a great game. That's all I'm gonna say about it. The numbers don't lie. They're getting absolutely shredded by tight ends. Okay, Jordan Reed's gonna get in the end zone this week, and I'm not gonna say he's gonna.
I can see it. I can see it for cash because he'll get you 12 points if he scores a touchdown this week. That's what he'll get you. He'll get you 12 points.
Right. That's where it's at for 5,200. Buy low opportunity. Give me my 12 points, and I'm gonna move on.
That I'm getting at is you look at his biggest output. His biggest output is 65 yards receiving on 4 catches. He keeps it between 34 and 38. And look at the reception totals to get 38 yards, bro. 7 catches for 38 yards. That just tells you, if you take a look at the routes he's running, and I'm sure if we went on Football Insiders and took a look at his route running anything past 10 yards, he's run. See, they're in this West Coast offense, bro, and I'll just hit you to a little something real quick. One of the 2 most common routes, I'll give you 3 routes. They run the Y angle, right? It's a little angle route where they take a 3 and they cut right in between the 2 linebackers. That's a short little route. They love to read they'll run the Y read, except this team ain't running the Y read. And if the Y read route is easy defendable because it's a 2-way, either runs a 9 or he runs a dig route, depending on what the safety does against a cover 3 look. If the safety, guess what he does? He runs a dig at like 7 yards. So that's where Jordan Reed is living. Alex Smith don't take chances. So 12 points.
Right,
I like
so who
the
you
pick
got
for
for
cash. I'll give you that. I'm taking Gronk if he plays, bro. If Gronk plays, it's the cheapest you're ever going to get him at $6,900. Point blank in the story. You can. I don't know when the last time Gronk was $6,900, but if Gronk plays tonight, which he Thursday, looking like he's going to play, trending in the right direction, then I'm loading up Gronk. Period. Point blank. I don't even know the fact that he's $6,900.
Right. So we'll finish it off with our defensive picks real quick. I mean, I'm just going to make this short and sweet. My first one, honestly, to me, they're the best defense in the league right now. It's going to be the Chicago Bears. I understand it was Buffalo last week, but they scored 28 fantasy points against Buffalo, 2 defensive touchdowns. And I mean, if you look even in their earlier season against a couple of good teams, they've been getting, double-digit fantasy points pretty much, week in and week out. Outside of New England and Miami, where they pretty much got shredded, they really haven't been giving up too many points. And I'm just going to go right back to the with the Chicago Bears defense. We seen last week, Matthew Stafford, he got sacked. I want to say it was like 9-10 times or something like that. It was way up there. So, I mean, I really like Chicago's D this week. I think that they honestly are the top defense on the slate.
Dude, let me ask you this, bro. The pricing on some of the defenses that are on this slate, have you like taking a deep dive into defense? Wow. Have you?
They're all, I mean, yeah, no, I get you. And I mean, I think Chicago's
you could play. Hey, you could this week, dude, and hope they just don't give up 35 points.
Right.
For $2,500.
Who's that?
Dude, I guarantee you, Arizona.
Oh, okay.
going against Kansas City. I mean, if they give up 35 points and they give you – so let's say they give up 35 points, they get you 2 sacks. They got you 2 points and went almost 2x.
I get you.
Some of these defenses are cheap. My number one defense, though, outside of the Bears, I think the Bears is the best defense, but my number one defense a lot is the Rams. They're too cheap. They're $3,900. We know what that defensive line is all about with Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald. Seattle's still Seattle, man. I mean, they've played a couple of easy matchups. They've taken advantage of them. They've gotten the wins. I know they played the Rams tough the last time, scored a lot of points, but that was up in Seattle. It's a different environment. It's warm in California, right? I mean, it's still hot here. We're in November, and it's like, it ain't Seattle. So I'm taking the Rams at 3,900. I think they can get after the passer. Their ability to sack Russell Wilson, get points that way, makes up for anything that they might be able to give you up. And then to top it off, they're 3,900.
Yeah, I get you. So for my last pick, I'm gonna go with the Green Bay Packers. They're going against Miami, and Miami. I mean, Vegas honestly doesn't see Miami scoring a bunch of points in this game. They have a really low implied total. They got Brock Osweiler at quarterback. One thing I do like about the Packers is if they're not doing anything else on defense, they're getting a ton of sacks. They're favored in this game by 10 points. So they're going to definitely be getting after the quarterback. And, if a team's up big and they're getting after a quarterback, that's a recipe for disaster. Get a couple of picks, get a couple fumbles, maybe a possible touchdown from defense. So my last pick on this video for defense is going to be the Green Bay Packers.
So I'm going to go with a defense I think is going to be in a very good matchup is Jacksonville. These defenses are really cheap this week, and Jacksonville, we know that. This is not, last year they were one of the top defenses in the league. They've suffered a lot of injuries this year. 4,100 in Indianapolis. We all know what's happening with Indianapolis. They got to throw the shit out of the ball in order to stay in games. Time that you're going to run like you're going to throw the ball that many times, you're going to have sack opportunities. So this is their first opportunity in Indianapolis in that weak line. I like them at $4,100.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's a solid pick for sure. So I think that's about it. That's all we got, guys. Those are our NFL Week 10 picks. If you got any questions about some guys that we didn't mention, or you want a little bit more in-depth analysis on anybody, you can definitely hit us in the comment section below. We'll get to that ASAP, or send me a message, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at RotoBeast. And I'll get to those questions as soon as possible. Thanks for helping me out, Jeremy, and getting through these Week 10 picks, even though you're sick. And good luck to you guys this week in your NFL Sunday. And we'll talk to you later. Peace out.